Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Girl with MS on MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. I'm Caroline Craven, a.k.a. the Girl with MS. Where living with multiple sclerosis is more than just an illness, it's a way to empower our lives by making positive change. Over the course of our time together, we'll be sharing many experiences with other MS patients and experts across the country. As we know, MS is a snowflake disease and no two are alike. Every time we get the upper hand on this illness, we like to say, take that, MS. We are especially grateful today to interview Ashton Embry, who is a retired geologist whose son was diagnosed with MS in 1995. So this is a very interesting perspective. This is going to be a father of an MS patient, and we're looking forward to talking to him. I met Ashton doing some research for one of my articles for Healthline, and we met over nutritional strategies. So let us get started and welcome. Welcome, Ashton.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are so grateful to have you here today.
I'm glad to have this opportunity.
Oh, wonderful. Could you tell us a little bit about your story and then your son's diagnosis and how you got into your life with MS? Well, you don't have MS, but your life involved with MS.
Yeah. Well, I've been a geology research scientist since 1968, and so when my son was diagnosed with MS, I asked the doctor, do we know what the cause is, and do we know how to treat it? And they said, no, we don't know the cause, we don't have any effective treatment. So I thought to myself, well, I guess it's going to be up to me. And from my scientific perspective, I thought the best way to attack anything like this is you have to find out probable cause. So I went to work going through all the scientific data and papers, and just with the idea, okay, what are the probable causal factors? And I thought once I can get those, then I can do my best to make sure he counters as many of the causal factors as possible. And so by about it took me about 3-4 years to get to the place where I was satisfied, where I had determined many probable causal factors, and we just applied those, and my son has done extremely well for the last 22 years.
Wow, that is great news, and I love this whole aspect of what I call just self-care. Taking care of ourselves in doing proper research, and you were fortunate, of course, to have your years of experience with doing research.
That's right.
Yeah, yes, because there's a lot of, as we all know, there's a lot of bogus stuff out there, but there's a lot of good stuff under the NIH and other different organizations that have some great qualified studies. What were some of the causal factors that you found?
Well, I went through it all, and it took me a while, but I determined MS was caused, I think this is very good, sometime in childhood, probably between, the ages of 5 and 15, probably. It's almost for sure it's caused by an Epstein-Barr virus. You get the Epstein-Barr virus.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have the various genetic susceptibility. So just not that many people carry the genes. Many people get the Epstein-Barr virus, obviously, but you have to. And the time when you get the Epstein-Barr virus, you have to have a very low vitamin D level, so your immune system isn't being properly regulated. So those were the three main big drivers to start the whole MS disease. You get the Epstein-Barr virus at a time when your vitamin D level is very low, which is generally in the middle of the winter time, and you have to carry the various MS genes. So those three things will give it to you. But that just starts it off. And then you've got to keep the immune system being not well regulated. So you have a low vitamin D, you don't have enough antioxidants, you don't have a good immune regulation, so your fat types push the immune system all the way toward an attack side. I was able to determine that the gut bacteria and the gut flora and you had that the gut lining allowed the passage of various immune particles, which would get the immune system on the attack. And there were a number of foods I found that carried the various proteins that would get the immune system to attack myelin. And so it became, as I say, a number of factors that all came together. And as there were many dietary factors involved. Okay?
Yeah.
And once I saw the dietary factors, then it all came very clear that all the dietary factors involved were the ones that have been just introduced in the last, few thousand years, like dairy products, a lot of grains, the various types of fat. And so it became, to me, if one followed a paleo diet, then that should do the trick.
Oh. Wow, that's so fascinating. I'm going to hit a couple things here. I'm going to talk about paleo, but before I do that, I'm very fascinated by the causal, the factors. What would happen in a childhood that would possibly cause it? Would that be the Epstein-Barr virus would happen at that age?
That most people get infected by Epstein-Barr, and most people get infected by Epstein-Barr in childhood, before 15.
Okay. And Epstein-Barr, does it have another name, or is it?
No, it's just the Epstein-Barr virus now, And so if you get the Epstein-Barr, and your immune system isn't really being well regulated, then that means and the major regulatory of the immune system is vitamin D, is your vitamin D level.
Mhm.
Then if you have to have a very low vitamin D level and you get the Epstein-Barr, well, that can really screw up the immune system to attack your myelin and not be properly suppressed.
Wow. And then, is there a test for the Epstein-Barr virus? Is there a?
Yeah, oh yeah, but I mean, as I say, probably 90% plus of people get it. I mean, it's just standard. Almost
Okay.
everybody gets it.
Interesting.
But to get MS, you have to get the Epstein-Barr virus. You have to carry the MS genes, and you have to have a very low vitamin D at the time when you get the Epstein-Barr. So if you do all that, then you end up with, okay, we can understand why only 0.5% of people get it.
Okay. Interesting. And then going back over to the nutritional information and the food, which I know is one of my favorite topics. What were the foods that you noticed that would attack the myelin? Is that the?
Well, the number one was dairy. The dairy proteins yield antigens, which are pieces of the protein that are exactly the same as pieces of protein in myelin. They have exactly the so when the immune system encounters these dairy proteins, it can't tell the difference between the dairy proteins and the myelin proteins. This is called a cross reaction. So when the immune system gets all stirred up to attack the dairy proteins, it goes and it attacks the myelin proteins because it can't tell the difference between the two.
Wow, fascinating. And does it matter?
And that's been proven.
Okay.
They've actually proven that in people. They take out the myelin proteins and they show those myelin that the immune system that attacked the myelin proteins also attacked milk proteins.
Okay. Does it matter if it's cow dairy or goat dairy? Does any of that matter?
I would say no. Say no. That you've probably got you got all dairy products you want to avoid.
Yeah, it's a
totally
tough one
avoid.
for me.
Totally avoid. Not even a tiny bit. It's basically poison. It's basically you just may as well be eating myelin and telling the immune system, okay, come and get it.
Oh, that's so important for our reader or listeners to hear that dairy is. It's as you said, it can be poison. It is poison.
It just tells your immune system go attack my myelin.
Yep. Okay.
So so anybody who eats dairy with MS, you're doing yourself in.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me because I can cut out almost all dairy except a little bit of cheese now and then. I'm just saying that's my weakness. It's a good hard aged cheese. It's a tough one.
And that's fine. I have no problem with people making that choice, just as long as you know that what I'm doing is going to harm me, but I enjoy the taste of cheese more than I worry about harming myself. And that's fine. I think we all do that. We all, people drink to excess. Well, we know it's harmful, but we want to do it because we enjoy it. Fine.
Right.
And just as long as we do it with knowledge, we're doing it, and then I say, fine, it's free choice. Go for it.
Yeah. That's absolutely, I love that, doing it with knowledge, because I know that, like the other things you mentioned, grains, I think, was one.
the probably by far the worst are the gluten grains, because they contain proteins which open up the gut barrier, open up the blood-brain barrier, so you're allowing the immune system to really get access, and that's what you don't want to allow. So once again, if anybody who eats those kind of grains, you are harming yourself, but if you want to, go ahead. But it's really important that you understand why you might not want to.
Yeah, and could you? And this one I do follow. This is when I feel, gluten, any glutinous product. If I choose to eat it, which is very rare, I know I'll feel the effects immediately and long term. I did a test last year, kind of put myself back on, let's try gluten for a while, and oh my gosh, you should have. I mean, the amount of just basic, almost not quite a relapse, but all of my symptoms just were so exacerbated.
I'm not surprised because we understand exactly what kind of changes are going in the body that are caused by gluten, and we understand why those changes exacerbate multiple sclerosis.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that about the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah. And again, there's lots of papers in the scientific data that talk about this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more research on this for sure. And remind our listeners too. I think of gluten, I think of wheat, but what are some of the other glutinous type grains out there that we should be aware of?
You really have rye, the rye grains.
Okay. So rye and wheat are the two main.
Rye and wheat are your two biggest ones. You got to watch out for oats. It's not because it's often mixed in. It gets contaminated. Oats doesn't contain gluten, but it often gets contaminated. So basically, the more grains you can avoid, all grains, the better, because we didn't evolve eating grains. For 4 million years, we didn't eat any grains. We didn't eat any dairy. And it's just in the last, while, which, is way too. It's just, and there's many people who just can't deal with them.
Mhm.
And I think MS is just one of the problems that arise from eating these new foods that we aren't evolution-wise sort of prepared for.
Right. Interesting. And you mentioned dairy and grains. Were there other foods that could help attack the myelin?
Well, it doesn't attack the myelin, but
right. I meant the body.
fats. I mean, we are programmed for a specific ratio of the different fat types, and we have to get the various omega-3, the omega-6, the monounsaturated, and the saturated. Those are your 4 types of fat. So you got to have a balance of fat types to keep the immune system properly controlled. If you go too far in the saturated fats and the omega-6 fats, your immune system goes on the attack. So you want to have much more monounsaturated fat, which is your olive oil, and you want to make sure you get enough of the omega-3 fats, which is your fish oil.
Okay.
So in general, if you have a diet that you say have maybe 80 grams of fat a day, which is a lot, that's a lot of calories. That's about 700 calories. So if you have a diet that's 80 grams of fat, you want about 50% of that monounsaturated. So 40 grams of monounsaturated fat. And you can have maybe up to 20 grams of saturated fat, 15 to 20 grams. Then you can have about 15 grams of the omega-6 6, and you want probably 6, 7, 8 grams of your omega-3. So you want to balance the amount of different fat types, and if you do that, your immune system will stay fairly well regulated.
Yeah.
And that again is established in various papers out there.
Right, right. So that's about, say, if you do eat about 80 grams of fat, which is a lot, as you said, about 700 calories, but for easy math, 50% of that, or 40 grams, would be
Monounsaturated.
unsaturated fat, and that'd be like olive oil, healthy fat.
Mainly olive oil is your main, main source of the monounsaturated.
Okay, and then about 15 to 20 grams of saturated fat, max.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then 15 grams of omega-6 and about 6 to 8 grams of omega-3s.
Yeah.
Do you recommend or just suggest, is the body different at taking these via food versus taking supplements? How?
Well, I mean, for the omega-3s, it's tough to get enough in our diet. So I just use the Carlson fish oil.
Okay.
And I eat fish, but I don't think we get enough in fish a day. So so if you want omega-3s in our current food availability, you basically have to take a fish oil supplement. And you can't get enough with the capsules. You just have to buy a bottle of fish oil and take maybe a couple of tablespoons a day.
How do you recommend getting that oil down?
It tastes fine. You can buy it's called lemon flavored fish oil. It tastes absolutely fine.
Oh, okay, great. Lemon flavored. I like that. Fish oil. Oh, that's a lot of help. I know I get a lot of questions about vitamin D and
well, vitamin D you have to take a supplement.
Mm-hmm.
You just have
right.
You cannot get enough vitamin D from the sun. It's impossible if you're in, say, northern United States or in Canada. It's impossible to get enough vitamin D.
Oh, wow. So a combination of this diet and any other diet tips that you recommend for our listeners? Come to mind regarding MS.
Well, you want to get a fair amount of. You just want to eat as much vegetables as you can because you want the fiber, you want the antioxidants, you want the various phytochemicals in there, which are all very beneficial.
Okay.
So you just want to eat a lot of vegetables.
What about juicing versus eating the vegetables real quick? Is that a good, healthy option for our listeners?
Juicing for some, but you want to make sure you get that fiber. So that
okay.
Is the fiber is, again, we just don't get enough fiber, and that really affects our gut bacteria.
Right, and that's been back in the news a lot lately, which is wonderful, is this whole healthy gut bacteria.
Yeah, they finally have tweaked on that, even though that's been in the papers. I was reading about this stuff in the 90s and said, oh, yeah, it's really important to have a healthy gut flora, and you get a healthy gut flora from your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just all tied up. It's all in the same thing. If you get the proper diet, you get the proper gut bacteria.
Oh, that's great. I just, I believe so much in food as medicine and what you've been talking about. And your son, I'm very fortunate to have you as a research expert to be able to find all this about MS.
It takes a while. It took a while, but
Mhm.
it's all there, and in spades, it's all there. But it's just the medical profession doesn't ever talk about nutrition, so
Right.
it's tough to it's tough to find, but it's there, and the
Yep.
science is very strong that ties these various dietary factors to multiple sclerosis and many other problems.
I would think so, and I do want to the National MS Society has made a commitment to putting money behind nutrition, and they just started funding a study on the Walls Protocol, which is based on a Paleolithic diet.
Which is good. I mean,
yeah, that's good.
They've been very
Stepping
slow, but they have finally responded to which is good. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, even though not the best, but it's still a major step forward for them because they've been anti-diet for many years, and now they finally have finally acknowledged that they have acknowledged the obvious.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate their move in the right direction. I really appreciate your time and expertise here on this research. Has just been wonderful. I just have all these questions now that I'm going to dive into, but I'm going to have to wrap up our show. Are your articles are located on directms.org?
That's right. Yeah,
right.
And there's many papers on there that describe various aspects of multiple sclerosis and diet.
Yeah, that's wonderful. For those listeners, the website is directms.org, DIRECTMS.org. And I just want to thank you all, thank Ashton again, and thank you all for joining me today on Girl with MS. Don't forget to join us on our website at www.girlwithms.com and listen to our show every week here on MS&Me Radio. So thanks a lot, Ashton. I really appreciate your time today and all you're bringing to the MS community. It's been a big help. I know our listeners have really enjoyed all the stuff you've brought to the table here, and I'm looking forward to talking to you more again at another time. So thank you.
Okay, Carolyn. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. We will talk soon, Ashton. I really appreciate it. I'll send you the link when it gets posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.